So my brothers and my sisters, as we embrace this urgency of creating the beloved community, now is the time to be love. Love means understanding, redemptive goodwill toward all, which seeks nothing in return. So be love by implementing the demands of justice to eliminate the school to prison pipeline that has so many black children entrapped. Be love by correcting voting policies that seek to suppress the votes of millions of black and brown people. Be love and implement the demands of justice by transforming a society that is disproportionately violent toward black lives, including black transgendered lives and indigenous lives. Be love and correct false narratives and economic policies that continue to divide and pit poor and working class black and white people against each other. Be love and implement demands of justice where systems and structures are deconstructed and lead the way of living in community that reimagines just, humane, equitable, and sustainable policies, practices, and behaviors. Love your enemies. Bless them that curse you. Do good to them who hate you, and pray for them that despitefully use you and abuse you. Be love and do justice and love mercy and walk humbly with our God.
Students with King serves as the King Center's flagship engagement platform for elementary, middle, and high school students, highlighting the legacies of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Mrs. Coretta Scott King, and the impact of the 20th century American Civil Rights Movement. Our dynamic and interactive programming has reached over 1 million students worldwide. Our core learning programs introduce students to the philosophy of Kingian nonviolence, coined Nonviolence 365, and provide important lessons about how they can apply nonviolence in their immediate environments. Whether you're an educator who is looking for ways to bring the King legacy into your classroom, a student who wants to learn more about this powerful moral movement, or a parent who wants to get your child involved in character building and literacy development activities, Students with King is your one-stop shop for unique lesson plans, teaching resources, educational field trips, and other opportunities to engage with the history of the American Civil Rights Movement and its powerful leaders. We look forward to engaging with you and your students. Together we can build the next generation of compassionate, courageous, and conscientious leaders.
We're so excited to have you all here with us today. Welcome, boys, girls, teachers, homeschoolers, educators. We're excited about you joining us today with the first Students with King 2024-2025 school year. So we're extremely excited. I am Tease Bryant, Program Administrator for the King Center, and I'm filling in for Tyreek Wynn. Tyreek Wynn will be here at the next Students with King on October 3rd. So you know what we need now? We need to do our roll call. We need to know where you're from, what city, state, school, and country. We're an international program, so we want to know that too. So please make sure that you're typing that in the chat. And also your top right-hand corner, you will see our survey. We need that survey. We need you. Now listen, today is going to be absolutely amazing. We're going to have a special guest. Along with our special guest, we'll have our author, we'll have the book reading. It's just going to be life-changing today. Okay? Now today's author is Dr. Jameha Steele. Dr. Steele is a retired educator, and she has worked in the school system for over 20 years. She's written several books, and we're excited about hearing the books today. She's reading her book, Tori's Whirlwind Adventure, and it was illustrated by Mr. Myron Nolan. And we see now we have Birmingham, Alabama, Leara Perkins from Birmingham, Alabama chiming in, and also Miss Bass' fourth grade class in Atlanta Public Schools. We've seen you several times. Thank you so much for joining us again. Thank you, Stephanie. We're so glad to have you also. Good. Thank you. And oh, goodness, Tyreek is checking in on me. Thank you, Tyreek. Thank you so much. Yes, we're filling in. They're going to miss you, but they'll see you next month. They will see you next month. Thank you. So, and also remember, after the reading, we'll have a Q&A. So you'll be able to ask the author questions. Thank you. So glad to have you here. So glad to have you here. You all are in for a treat. Pelham, Alabama, Ratonia Mosley. Glad to have you. So glad to have you. Let's use our chat fingers to make sure that we are placing our city, state, country, where we're tuning in from. And also, don't forget to complete the QR code. This is the state roll call time. Good. From Flat Shoals Elementary School. Thank you so much for joining us. Utah. So glad to have you. So glad to have you. We're glad to see you also. This is going to be exciting today. We're looking forward to a great read, and we're making sure that our young people fall in love with reading. This is the purpose of this, to make sure you're falling in love with reading and the importance of literacy. Thank you so much. Okay, now we're prepared to meet the amazing Dr. Jameha Steele. We can get ready and get our hand claps ready, our virtual claps. Virtual claps. Let's do our virtual clapping. Thank you, Dr. Steele, for being here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Yes, we're excited to have you. And we're excited that we have a special guest. We'll have a special guest at the right after you're done reading your book. So we're excited about that. We won't belabor the time. We'll give you a chance to get ready and get ready for the reading today. And let's start. I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Steele. Take it away.
Okay, thank you. Boys and girls, this is one of my favorite stories, and it's called Tori's Whirlwind Adventure. And I am the author, and of course, the illustrator is Mr. Myron Nolan. So I want to share with you all the great things about this story. So let me start reading. My name is Tori. That's right, Tori with an I, not Y. I never really liked my name until one day I asked my mom why she chose to name me Tori. Her response was quite simple. She said, I named you Tori because it's short and cute, just like you. I liked her reasoning, and now I love my name. I am short, cute, smart, kind, and tough. I am the granddaughter of Rue Jackson. He's the father of humility. But to me, he's just Poppy. The day I was born, Poppy placed a bracelet of love and power on my wrist. It's never to be removed. This bracelet allows me the ability to be anything I want to be. Only my family knows of this special power. I will never reveal to anyone just what I'm capable of, nor will I ever take this gift for granted or abuse my power. It's great knowing that I can be anything I want to be, which is what made today so spectacular. This morning started out like any other day. I rode my scooter to school and popped as many wheelies as I could. The sky was a little dark, but that wasn't going to slow me down. I arrived to school just in time because it had started to rain. Miss Perkins was standing at the door as she always does to greet each of her students. "Good morning, Miss Torrey," she said with a huge grin on her face. "I see you made it just in time to beat the storm." "Good morning, Miss Perkins. It looks like it's going to get a little bad out there today." The bell rang and we began the day with reading, which just so happens to be my favorite subject. My friends, Jordan and Jacob, hate reading, but they love recess and lunch. My closest friends, Aaron and Tristan, like math and science. As Miss Perkins began to read, strange sirens started to sound, and the school bell began to ring. Miss Perkins said we were under a tornado warning and for us to go to our safe places, just like we had practiced 100 times before. Well, apparently everybody forgot what we'd practiced because they went bananas. I guess the sound of the sirens made them a little wacky. Aaron was running in circles, screaming and then singing some crazy song as loudly as she could. She ran to the window and looked out. What she saw scared the daylights out of her. The winds were strong. They were blowing everything over, and the sky was dark gray. Miss Perkins yelled, "Stay away from the windows!" Aaron jumped under Miss Perkins' desk but couldn't fit because Tristan was already under there. She then tried to hide in the classroom sink. Jacob was hiding underneath Miss Perkins' skirt. Glad she didn't pass gas, if you know what I mean. Jordan jumped on her back, almost knocking her wig off. It was a madhouse. Thank goodness for Principal Mosley. He walked into our classroom and announced that the storm was no longer heading in our direction and that we were safe. He did say there was, in fact, a tornado heading southeast. Southeast is the direction of my neighborhood. He sounded nervous and was talking fast, as if he was afraid for everyone that was in the storm's path. As I sat and listened and looked at the concern on his face, I knew I needed to help. At that very moment, I snuck into the closet. With all the chaos going on, no one even noticed. I tried to figure out how or what I could do to protect people from the storm. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. All I knew is that I had to move quickly. I tapped my bracelet and placed my hands over my chest and began to spin around. I repeated to myself, I can be anything I want to be, someone special or just me. I can be anything I want to be. You just watch, wait, and see. And just like that, I was a storm chaser. I jumped on my scooter and followed the winds. I was going so fast that the wheels started to shake. Come on, scooter. Don't fail me now. Everything was dark and gloomy. I heard a noise that sounded like a train. The noise got louder and louder. There appeared to be a huge funnel shaped cloud. Tall trees swayed back and forth. Debris was flying everywhere. Any normal person would have been afraid, but not me, because I'm tough. I had never experienced such strong winds before. Everything was being tossed over. The winds were destroying anything that stood in its way. That funnel was one of the most powerful things I'd ever seen. I could see the direction the tornado was headed. I used my bracelet to notify the weather stations as they were able to announce it over the television, radio, and internet. I rode through the neighborhood, blasting the horn on my scooter and yelling for everyone to take shelter. I watched every move the winds made, and then, without any warning, it all stopped. I looked up to the sky and said, "Yeah, that's what I thought. You aren't so tough after all." By making the announcements early, people were able to get out of the path of the storm and lives were saved. There was a little damage, but nothing that can't be replaced. I'm so thankful I was able to help. Being a storm chaser was actually pretty cool. One thing's for sure, if I'm going to be a storm chaser, I will definitely need something a little faster than my scooter. The end. And that was
Give Dr. Jameha Hill, Dr. Jameha Steele and Tori a hand, a virtual hand. That was amazing. I absolutely love that book.
Thank
I
you.
mentioned to you earlier that I read the book to my children and they also loved it.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful story. We talk a lot here at the King Center about courage when we're talking about the principles and steps of nonviolence. So we know that Tori was extremely courageous. So boys and girls, this is your time. Teachers, educators, to type your questions in the chat box over here. Use your chat fingers again, type them in the chat box so that we're able to find out more about Dr. Steele and Tori's adventure. Now, Dr. Steele, I have a question for you.
Mhm.
In this book, when you were writing this book, what was your inspiration in writing this book?
I have one niece, and her name is Tori, and that's my baby. She is truly a joy. So all of my books, there's three in this series, and I will continue to write more. But they are all based on the main character Tori. And so in the books, of course, she doesn't have superpowers, but it's loosely based on my actual niece, Miss Tori Micah Mosley.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I know she's so proud.
Yes,
To be represented in your
she's
book.
a character.
Yes. And how old is Tori? How old is Tori?
Tori is 6. She's a first grader.
And I'm sure we have first graders listening today, second graders, third graders, fourth graders, fifth graders. So we're grateful for that. And when in reading the book, when educators are sharing this book with their classrooms, what do you want them to take out of the book? What can they receive as far as growth purposes and literacy when reading your book?
One thing that I want all readers to understand is that there's nothing you can't do, and you really can be anything you want to be. It's going to take hard work. In your classes, pay close attention to your teachers. I love to read, and I know that being a strong reader helps make me better in all other subjects. So always pay very, very close attention to your reading instructor. Read books every night. Fall in love with reading. It makes a difference.
Yes, I love that. And I love that you mentioned that you love reading. It's really important that children fall in love with reading. Start reading. Read everything.
Yes.
Read signs, read books, magazines, the back of the cereal boxes, everything that you can. So we have a question from Miss Jones here. She said, "We love Tori." Yes, and so do we. "And why did her grandfather give her the bracelet? Has she used it to become other things?
Tori's grandfather, which is Rue Jackson, the very first moment he saw her, he knew something was very special about her. And he felt as though giving her that power was something that she could actually handle. And she does. She does very well with her special power using the bracelet. There are two other books that I'd like for you to buy and read. And in those books, she's not just a storm chaser, but she is a marine biologist. And in one story that I really love, she becomes a baseball star, a baseball.
Wow.
Tori does a lot of cool things.
Dr. Steele, tell us where we can find those other books and purchase them.
All of the books are published through Author House Publishing, and they can also be purchased at Barnes and Noble as well as Amazon. Oh, one other thing that I think is kind of cool. If you like this particular story, Tori's Whirlwind Adventure, you can watch the cartoon that goes with the story on YouTube. Just type in the title, Tori's Whirlwind Adventure, and you can watch the animation that goes along with this particular book.
Yes, and the cartoon is really good. So again, you can go to YouTube, type in Tori's Whirlwind Adventure, and then watch the animated cartoon there.
Thank you.
Okay. And we have another question that says, can you share any challenges you faced while writing this book?
In writing any of my stories, the challenge is I'm a very creative person and my imagination is huge. So it's always hard to take everything that's in my brain and transfer it to paper because I want my readers to know exactly the images and everything that I'm trying to write. I want it to be clear. And so it's always hard transferring thoughts to paper, but it's actually fun. Strong readers are good writers. So I always read.
I believe that. And speaking of strong readers and writers, how can we encourage our young people to make sure that they're thinking about writing books? I think if you could read, you can write a book.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How would you encourage them?
I would say just get a binder, get a spiral notebook, and anything that pops into your mind, put it on paper. And before you know it, you've already written a story. One story turns into two stories. So just take all of your thoughts, the things that you dream about, and write them down. And that way you'll always have it with you.
I love that. I love that. We have another question from Christy Langston. She says, what are the titles of your other books?
Tori's Deep Sea Adventure, and that's when she becomes a marine biologist. And the other book is Tori Goes to the Ballpark, and she's helping her good friend Tristan during a baseball game. And that's actually a really cool book.
I love that. I love it. And students and parents and administrators, homeschoolers, please make sure that you're completing the survey, top right-hand corner. And Ratonia Mosley has a question also. Does a real-life Tori love reading?
Oh, Tori loves reading. Tori reads all the time. Right now, she's reading the series Junie B. Jones, and she actually read a little bit to me. Tori's a cool kid, and yes, she loves to read.
I love that. I love that. And will you come back to read the other books, your other books?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll come back.
Great. Now, the boys and girls get the chance to experience a real treat. The first time that it's been done on Students of the King. So you tell us about that treat, Dr. Steele.
Okay. Boys and girls, I want you to meet my buddy, my friend, Tori.
Hello. Hello, Tori.
That's her best friend.
Oh, by your grandfather.
Yes, by her grandfather, Rue Jackson.
Yes. Love the kisses. Boys and girls, let's give Tori some hearts. Tori, thank you for being so brave. Liara Perkins Martin says, hey, Tori. That you actually knew that Southeast was towards your home. Yes. The directions are sometimes difficult, and being that smart, and you were in kindergarten at the time, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
So we heard that you're now in first grade, and we're so grateful that you helped to get the message out, and we know that you love riding your scooter. Yes. Yes. Well, thank you so much for visiting with us today. We are going to make sure that we watched your animated cartoon on YouTube. And we also listen to every other story that's posted that you have published also. And then Tanae Jones says, hey, Tori. They're saying that they love you. You have a bunch of hearts out there, a bunch of hugs. And just remember, boys and girls, Tori is the main character of the book. So that wonderful story that you just read, that was just read to you by Dr. Steele, that she brought on Tori, so Tori can greet you and tell you all thank you so much for reading her book. Thank you. Thank you. Tori has to get back to first grade.
It's time for Tori to read.
It's busy time. She can't hang out the whole day. Not at all. So, Dr. Steele, I have a personal question for you. Mm-hmm. Do you remember what inspired you to read, and then how did that transition over inspiring you to write?
My mom loved to read. She would read all of these neat novels, and I remember looking at the covers and thinking, okay, I want to read some of those books too. And I realized that the words in those books were a little bit difficult. So I kept reading, and the more I would read, the better I became at it. And so it just became a love, a passion. And so I don't get to read novels every day like I used to, but I just enjoy reading. I always try to find things that are exciting, fun. I love nonfiction books. I love anything that's creative. So I think I developed a love for reading, watching my mom read. And she was an avid, well, she still is an avid reader.
And that's funny. I watch my mom read, and sometimes I would sneak and read her Danielle Steele novels.
Exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah. I remember that. Dr. Steele, did you happen to have a favorite teacher?
My favorite teacher was Miss Ernestine Robinson, and she passed away a couple of years ago. She was my English instructor, my ninth grade English teacher, and she told me to always just be who I am. She always said, "You're a beautiful person, but let that beauty show from the inside out." And I've always carried that with me. She was wonderful. She even gave me, I was in seventh grade. I wasn't even in her classroom at this time, but I don't know, she just saw something in me, and she was the person who started encouraging me to do public speaking, and that's how I've become a public speaker.
That's why our educators are so important. We appreciate that, and we appreciate you. And tell us again where we can purchase your books.
Author House Publishing, Barnes and Noble, as well as Amazon.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Steele, for what you gave us today. You're absolutely amazing. I can't wait to read your books and see Tori absolutely everywhere. Reminding the educators to please make sure you're taking our surveys. You'll see us again next month on October 3rd, same place, same time, with the moderator, Mr. Tariq Wynn, and we'll have our author, Miss Maggie Chang. Again, thank you so much for an amazing Students with King Reading Corner again today. We appreciate you. We appreciate your time. Please, to find out more about the King Center and our events, log on to www.thekingcenter.org. We have amazing things happening here, and we want to see you. We want to see you in the future. Again, have an amazing day. Thank you for absolutely everything. And we love you. And we're going to give out each other hearts. Send some hearts my way. Thank you again on behalf of Dr. Bernice King, our CEO, our Dr. Kalisha Graves, our Chief Research and Education Officer, and Mr. Donald Bullock. Thank you so much for logging on. And we'll see you again next month, same time, same place.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bernice A. King.
And I'm Dr. Kimberly P. Johnson.
And we are the co-authors of
It Starts With Me. Well, it starts with me.
No, I think it really starts with me.
No.
Well, maybe it just starts with you.
It starts with you.
This is a book for children and the rest of the world about love. A powerful word that really can change and transform our world. Now, this girl here is Amora. So Amora is going to take us on a journey around the world with her friends, talking about how we can be loved.
Thank you so much for reading this book. It Starts With Me. Dr. King's vision is coming to life, and you guys are going to carry that vision into the world. Have fun reading.
We want our children and you, parents, to be loved in the way you speak, in the way you act, and in the way you think. That's what it starts with me about. It starts with me. I am the one who infects the world with love.
It starts with me.